Hello everyone, and welcome back to another edition of Indexer Office Hours. Today is the 15th of July, and this is Indexer Office Hours 216. For those who are new to Indexer Office Hours, this is the town square where graph ecosystem participants come together and discuss the most important and relevant topics for indexers. And so, as always, as I like to say, this is a conversation and we do love participation, so feel free to get involved in today's conversation. We will be having a nice bit of back and forth and AMA in today's conversation, so yeah, I would love to get your participation, folks. As a reminder, this session is recorded and will be posted onto public channels like YouTube. So if you are concerned about privacy, please bear that in mind. And with that, let's get into today's exciting agenda. As always, I hand off to Carlos for our regularly scheduled Repo Watch section. And today is different. So without further ado, Carlos, take it away.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back. This week, I need to start with 𝗨𝗀𝗂𝗪. So we were caught a bit off guard, and I think this affected quite a few people. But there's a different repo for 𝗨𝗀𝗂𝗪 v2. And they managed to, in my opinion, not communicate that properly at all. Like the old repo had a bunch of announcements and releases to handle the Polygon hard fork with messages about, or like easy, like stress-free update, etc. Bump these versions. They released 1.6.0, but in parallel, on a different repository on Polygon instead of Matic Network, they do have a 𝗨𝗀𝗂𝗪 v2 repo, and that's actually requires going forward post the hard fork. And there's a migration guide, kind of. You guys need to check it out if you're still in that boat. But okay, so heads up, there's now a different version for 𝗨𝗀𝗂𝗪. We're back to 0.2.10 from a few days ago. This is for 𝗨𝗀𝗂𝗪 v2. This is a different repo, and you will need to run some manual steps to migrate your data directory. So that was the starting point there. Okay, so other than 𝗨𝗀𝗪, we have Aragon, released a couple of patch versions over the last week. We're now on 3.0.14. Pretty much most of it is also Polygon related, but especially if you're using Aragon for Polygon, you should update. We have a new version as well from Streaming Fast related to Polygon. We have Polygon 2.8 for Firehose. And we have a couple of consensus layer clients. So Lighthouse has a new minor version. We're now on 7.10. It's performance improvements mostly, low priority, but it's always good to improve efficiency. And we have a new Nimbus version. We're now on 25.7.0. And this one is medium urgency. Regarding the indexing stack, that's all for this week. On the graph stack, I will make note that the feature matrix over the last couple of weeks already has graph node 0.39.1. All the other releases I mentioned before that were pre-release or draft are still so have not been released yet. And not much on the Launchpad stack. I will, however, make note that over this week, we will update the 𝗨𝗀𝗪𝗪 chart and get it out for 𝗨𝗪𝗪 v2. And we are also pending updating the dashboard for graph nodes to make a release on the latest one. And that's all for this week. And I'm handing off to Juan.
Thanks, Carlos. Okay, getting into Protocol Watch, as always, we start with forum governance, and there's an interesting debate / discussion / conversation regarding the latest dispute, which is GDR38. Just to recap, this is the... give me 1 second. Is that better? Okay, great. Cool. So there's a little bit of discussion on the latest dispute. This is 𝗨𝗪𝗳𝗂𝗧. Just to recap for everyone, this is a dispute on Protofire Indexer. Mainly, if I recall correctly, this was due to a manually closed allocation with a non-0x0 POI, which is again a big no-no. If unless it's very well argumented in 99% of the cases, that's a big no-no. If you have to close manually, it's mostly because you need to close with 0x0 POI due to failure in the sync process. There's a nice debate going around all of those particularities. So yeah, if you're interested in all of those debates, that's in the thread linked in the agenda. We don't have any new updates for forum research. For the contracts repository, there are just 2 PRs, one that has been merged, which is moving all the interfaces to a dedicated package, which is linked to the Graph Horizon PR, which again updated the PR. So that's pretty much it. It seems that Horizon is in the last stages of triple checking to make sure that everything's okay before releasing, or testing at least. So hopefully we can get some more updates on Horizon soon. And for the network subgraphs, again, last week we had a small hotfix for the broken L1 subgraph, but there's nothing major to comment on this week. That's pretty much it. I see Kate's around, so I'm going to be handing over.
Hi there. Thanks, Juan. Pretty much similar to last week, since I believe the foundation, a lot of folks were out or they were on rest week. So haven't been able to push forward any of the reports we have, but we have completed our investigation for Chapel, and we're very close to completing our investigation for Sepolia. And we have some other reporting that we're working on completing, and some potential new chains that we're going to look into as well. So once I get more confirmation this week, as everybody's back in office and we're moving forward, I'll have some more definitive updates, but I'll let you folks know in the Indexer channel as Chapel moves forward, for sure. Thank you.
Alrighty, awesome. Thank you all for your sections there. Really do appreciate it. In previous conversations we've had, a few of you have asked about auto grafting, when it's coming, and maybe asking specific questions about it. And thanks to Mickey, I've been able to get a hold of someone who is working on auto grafting. And so, yeah, it's with great pleasure that I can suggest that we have an AMA today on the topic. So if you guys have any sort of questions about auto grafting, I know that Vince was pretty keen on that. We have Dan from 𝗨𝗪𝗳𝗀𝗀 with us today, and he's happy to answer any questions. I guess the first question is when, so maybe Dan, if you want to share some more information right now. Yeah, so he's just posted something in the chat. Feel free to come onto the mic if that's easier. Let me see if I can try to give you some permissions to do so. You should be able to. Presenter. Yeah, so I've given you the relevant permissions, so feel free to unmute. You might have push to talk enabled, so if you just go to your settings and disable that, that should.
Yeah, thanks.
There you go. Yeah, perfect. You're welcome.
It's funny how the settings re-enable themselves.
Yeah, I know, right?
So this has been merged to main for a while, and main on the indexer agent, just for context. This is something that started out as a feature in GraphNode, but the team decided it was better to put it in another project like agent. I think there's been a previous work to do this in the past. I think Hope worked on it, but this was a few months in the making. What were the questions that people had, I guess?
Yeah, I know Vince was very keen to learn more about it. So maybe Vince, you want to fire off with some questions? I see Matthew's also typing.
Yeah, my main question is, so I guess it looks like it's an agent. When can I use it?
Yeah, so there's a version to be released, drafted. Yeah, some of the challenges to get it to a working state is just like figuring out requirements from the perspective like reentrancy. We wanted to make sure that this was something that could be started, and then, but to give a high level first question, Matthew, basically like what I started with here was an implementation in GraphNode, and then so I had some integration tests there that would prove that it could do this. Essentially, like you just need to specify an IPFS endpoint, and if IPFS endpoint is specified now, like in the agent config, if that IPFS endpoint is enabled, we will automatically try and crawl for that subgraph. It's because we now can resolve its graphed node. So in the subgraph manifest itself, there's a node called graphed, and it has a block. We will sync that graph to that block and then pause that subgraph so that we don't continue syncing. There's no need past that point, but then traverses to the child and sort of recursively does this. This is also intended to be the backbone of how composition will work, because it's very similar. But it's essentially crawl to the top layer. So a subgraph can have a parent, and then that can have another parent. We go to the top level one and start syncing it. And how this can manifest for you guys is when you allocate, the allocation itself is still just for the subgraph that you care about, but a deployment is made, and that's the terminology for GraphNode. Is that the deployment is initiated for the dependency, like the furthest level dependency first, and then it's walked all the way up to. Yeah, I mean, there's a practical level pain to the max number of subgraphs, right? Like you're gonna forever be stuck in syncing dependence. Choosing judiciously which subgraphs you choose to allocate to is like you probably want to be seeing what its graph's dependencies are. I don't know about Explorer support. There's not been any requirements discovery on that at all. Not that it's a bad idea. It's certainly something that could be raised. I mean, it's in the manifest, right? You can go and look. It's not an integer number. You'd actually have to go and find each manifest. Sorry, I'm trying to scan through the chat at the same time. I'm not used to that. Is there anyone who wants to say anything?
Yeah, guys, feel free to hop on the mic there. But I see a question here from Matthew saying, before this auto grafting thing, originally there was discussed about limiting the number of grafts. I guess no plans to do that now.
This is just, I mean, the first initial release. You mean limiting the number of graphs as per the schema of subgraphs, or do you mean at the level of just pragmatically not allowing more than, like, I think there's like 42 happens to be the limit right now for recursion, just out of programmer integers, magic numbers.
I see Matthew's typing. Feel free to clarify.
Exactly.
42, yeah.
I'd have to double check it. I'm not certain on 42. It's not infinite.
Got another question coming in from Vince saying, the initial intention was 1, was it not? So you can use it, but not be a complete crutch.
I don't know what the original intention was. I think this is the requirements have kind of gone through a number of different people. I came on the team about a year ago, and I've been taking on maintenance of the indexer agent. So I guess if you guys have questions about or want to see things implemented in or need help with PRs on, generally speaking, the indexer agent, I'm the one that does that now. Less Ford these days. I will ask him questions where I do not know things. There are lots of areas where I do not know things. So that's in that bucket of I don't know.
That's good to know. So if there are any sort of index agent related questions, they can get directed to you. Then is that correct?
Yeah, my long-term plan is to port this thing to Rust and have more people involved in it, so it's not just one bus factor.
Yeah, of course. Nice. Very
think
cool.
It would be too
That's
much
also useful.
overhead.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Thinking about how I could do this in Indexer tools, and this is Vincent in Data Nexus, and it would be too much overhead to handle this client side as is. Probably need some sort of counter in the manifest. Okay, yeah. You're talking about for Explorer. Number of graphs. Yep. Number of graphs in the network subgraph would be nice. Yeah. Explorer would have to crawl at this point. It's at least one. You know it's non-zero.
See, Vince is typing.
Yeah, does anyone want to take from main right now and run a test? I'm about to cut a release. There's a draft release up.
I'm trying to find
it's kind of long to test. I mean, a lot of those ones that use graphs, these subgraphs that use graphs, are long in the tooth to sync. That's kind of my feeling.
Would it be ambitious to try and do this thing live, or what do you think?
What do you mean ambitious? And what do you mean live? Like right now?
Well, so Hal said he can test, so maybe testing and having a look at stuff and seeing if anything goes wrong, debugging, maybe sharing screens. What do you think? Is that on the cards? On a test and
I kind of want to answer
testing.
Josh's question here.
Okay, go ahead.
It's not at the allocation level that we're doing this, so we're not like forcing you to allocate these dependencies. We're just deploying them first. But yes, it does essentially sequentially block the syncing of subgraph A if it has a dependency on subgraph B until B is synced to the specified block. If that answers your question.
So my question is more around. Sorry.
Yeah.
My question is more around. Will I be able to open an allocation on subgraph A now, even though it hasn't started syncing? It's got to wait for subgraph B.
It doesn't effectively complete that like I believe it has to talk like the way that we have structured the flow. No, it doesn't complete the allocation until B and A are synced, right? So it does not complete that. It doesn't have. You do have to wait because you're not truly allocated on the network until you have synced it, right?
Well, you can allocate on subgraph A once it has begun.
Okay. Yeah, then it would be once it has, like, if it has, like, our workflow is talk to graph node, try to ensure that the graph node, that the subgraph is deployed. And then we talk to the contract and say, okay, create an allocation for this. So if it has started syncing A, then you would be within that space, but not while it has started B, because B is not an allocation in that case.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Hope that clears it up.
Definitely.
There might be this might be an example of a place where this isn't what should happen, and because we're still learning, or I'm still learning, what the future should look like. This is just how it has ended up today, and so if you have improvements like that, I don't know who would be making the decisions on when an allocation can exist, because if you don't have even that subgraph started, for instance, I don't know what the thinking is there around the lifetime of an allocation. Yeah, exactly.
Does it? I see that Jim also. Does it also support? Because most indexers, like if there's something they haven't synced yet, will generally off-chain sync it or prepare it. So if I say off-chain or prepare whatever subgraph, and it does have all those dependencies, is it also going to take care of it in that way? Because that's the most beneficial part in doing that.
Yeah, so off-chain syncing is just a deployment to GraphNode. It's not it's because it's not on chain. It's not talking to our contract. It's not talking to the staking contract. So an allocation doesn't exist. That's exactly what we're doing from the agent's perspective. For in Josh's example, B, the dependent or the dependency itself is off-chain synced up to this specified level. So if they already had it like that level or higher, we don't do anything. If the indexer already had the subgraph synced, then it would simply verify that it existed and that it was synced to the specified level. If it wasn't synced to the specified level, it starts syncing it up to the specified level. And so there's some sort of implicit behavior there. We do need that graph to be at the level, like for the dependency to be satisfied. I hope that makes sense. Sort of just catching up on the chat. Gemma, so wouldn't get any rewards because for the period of time that B is syncing in Josh's example, because it's not an allocation at that point. Okay. My bad. Yeah, allocations, the direct operations on allocations is kind of not recommended in general. Sort of a tangent to go off on for me right now, but it's not recommended to go down that road. It's recommended instead to use the queue, just from it's got better handling of how the contracts interact, and it's honestly should be deprecated. If you run a real rules prepare A, and A is the child, or I don't know what the greater than less than symbols mean. You mean it's greater than is newer than? The relationship. I'm assuming it's the child, right? So yeah, it would sync D, but rules prepare A actually creates a queue item, so it's like doing a queue add. If the rule resolves to allocation, then it creates a queue item. Then it looks at A's manifest, and the A's manifest says it has a graph that is B at block 10, and then B has a manifest with a graphed section that has a C at block 5. And it's terrible numbers, but you get the idea. It's going to resolve D. If it can't find D, it's going to have an error, because now you're in this weird state where we say it has a manifest. We say it has a. This might be something that you actually hit in the wild, because if that doesn't exist on IPFS, it will not get there. It will not get D or some other link in the chain. And then we've failed to validate the dependencies, so we can't sync them. And in that case, we just recommend to off-chain sync to what degree you want, and then merely like remove the IPFS endpoint in the config, and you could continue if theoretically if there was some graph that wasn't present in IPFS anymore. I don't think that's possible, but it's like edge case hell. No problem.
See how it's typing, so I'm assuming another question is coming. As he's typing, it might be worth also. Oh, okay. Questions come through.
Well, so deterministic isn't the flag that makes, so on that issue in triage, there was an issue that Hal brought up that we were able to close on a non-deterministic error. So like determinism isn't the flag that we use to determine whether we can close, but what is the existence of a POI, proof of indexing. And that proof of indexing, if we're delivering it from, or if GraphNode is delivering it, if that case is in error, we need to identify that. Agent doesn't get, yeah, but so if the POI is generated in a case where it doesn't meet the charter, then we need to identify that. But that's a GraphNode behavior, and something that if someone modified the agent, like an agent isn't authoritative over this, right? And so if they modify the agent to use other POIs, POI, yeah. So should I change my way of saying it to match Matthew, or should I continue like saying POI? Important matters, right? Yeah, it's closer to a word, which means changing how I do it every time I say it. Yeah. Does that make sense though? Like my explanation that the indexer agent isn't able to make authoritative claims over what state we're in. We can try and like someone could modify the agent to do whatever they want if they had a POI, then or you're gonna get me hung up on that now. It's gonna get me going. Yeah, I mean, we need to identify the case. If it's an invalid POI, then agent will close. Well, it's invalid like if it doesn't meet the conditions where we should be, producing that, or it could be being marked as non-deterministic in GraphNode, and the flag non-deterministic is set, but yet it is a deterministic error. Like for instance, I fixed a bug in GraphNode 6 months ago that looked at it just looked at errors, and it flags it as non-deterministic or deterministic based on the presence of certain types of errors. And if the wrong type of error that's still deterministic, still like literally deterministic, but it's marked as non-deterministic, and you're getting a POI, then that situation can arise as well. But should be fixed. It's a bug, right? Should be fixed in GraphNode. I think the GraphNode might have a couple bugs here and there. Like we need to continue to work on. That's true for any software, including agent.
That's true. It's the nature of how things are. I think it might be a good idea to perhaps maybe I see Vince is typing, so I'm assuming there's a question coming. But yeah, it'd be great to maybe um start to collect some ideas about what people would like to see, because we spoke in the DMs about a demo next week potentially. So maybe if that's on the cards there, then it might be worth collating people's thoughts on what they'd like to get out of that. Maybe any specific things people want to focus on in that demo, so you can target it. Yeah,
It's a pretty
maybe.
narrow set of functionality. I don't like you're gonna run through the whole thing in like 30 seconds or a minute and a half in a pre-recorded video that I'll do, just because demo effect will prevent the software from actually working if I do demo it in front of anyone. But so I'll be happy to. I'm happy to make that video and share it on the next IOH. But it's largely setting a config value and then watching the logs. So is there a particular? I'm going to be doing like fabricated subgraphs that can sync in just moments, if that's all right. But
Yeah.
The reason for this is that there will be a release in the next week here. So that release will contain that, and I'll demo it so that people can have some visual documentation. 0 bugs. Bugzilla was awesome. I used to write extensions in Perl to Bugzilla. I mean, you could watch it. We could watch paint dry.
No, no, it doesn't make sense. Any more questions on autografting? Want to make sure that folks have all the questions answered. I know this is something that people wanted to have a discussion about, so I want to make sure that everything is responded to. Alrighty, getting a lot of thanks in the chat, so I'm assuming all the questions have been answered, which is great. Yeah, I think it makes sense to get that video recorded, and then we can post to folks maybe in the Indexer channel, or just kind of make sure it's circulated. But yeah, if anyone doesn't have any questions, then feel free to fire away, or send it over, and then we can follow up later. Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Dan. Do appreciate you hopping in there and supporting with the AMA. And it sounds like, yeah, this is a much awaited feature, and many people are pretty excited to play around with this. So appreciate all the hard work you've been doing on behind the scenes. Any final words before we wrap this topic and move on?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be around more if like since I'm gonna need everyone's support for trying to push this into another domain altogether. Like, I'd like to get this ported to Rust, with Claude helping. That might be possible.
Yeah. I mean, the community says to support, so it's good to hear that you'll be around more. Just a quick question here. It says, unrelated question, can I freely nuke my chain caches?
I should trademark this. I don't know what you're talking. I don't know what you mean. Chain caches.
Let's see. Payne is typing. That's more of a graph node question. Yeah. As in graph. Okay. And so I guess, is this more of a question for the wider audience, Payne? Yeah. Okay, cool. All right, cool. Well, thank you so much, Dan, for your section there. Really do appreciate that. And yeah, it would be cool to see you here more often, and let us know how we can support as a community to port over to Rust and help with any aspects of autografting and also index agent. So yeah, thanks so much. Cool. Let's maybe move on to the question that Payne has in the chat there. If anyone has any thoughts, far away. Gemma's asked a follow-up question, as in Graphman call cache remove. Yeah, it seems like people are chatting. Maybe Payne, if you want to come off mic and then add some more context to help people understand what you're referring to, then feel free to do that as well. Okay, seems like there's some chat in the chat box there. Cool. Fantastic. Well, seems like people are chatting in the chat box there and responding to Payne. So I'll let that conversation run. In the meantime, let's move on to the next topic. So I've been coordinating with some folks about a Postgres session, or maybe a series of Postgres sessions in the future. And one of the questions that people have asked me is maybe to collect a set of Postgres challenges, questions people are facing, because it seems like there's appetite for an AMA style conversation. And so I wanted to, again, open up the conversation to maybe ask if people have any Postgres related questions. And then what I can do is I can forward those on. And then when it comes to the actual session, we can get that responded to as like one of the top questions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up a board now. Here we go. And then this is 216. So as we always do, let's see if folks are, yeah, guys, make sure to navigate to board 216. A couple of you are on 215 and index automation. So just hop into, yeah, seems like people are hopping into 216 now. Cool. So yeah, want to collect questions here. So like, feel free to put post-it notes down and share your thoughts. So I'll just like put Postgres, questions. So just under here, feel free to pop some post-it notes, and then what I'll do is I'll grab this this board and forward it on to the folks who would be handling that. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, feel free to post there, and we'll get the show on the road. Also, I've been working on getting Hypergraph, getting Yaniv from the Geo team to come in and discuss Hypergraph as well. So if folks have any questions there, then I'll also put another section down here for Hypergraph. Would be great to hear people's thoughts on the kinds of questions that they have for Hypergraph as well. So that session is being scheduled. That won't be next week. It'll be the week after. So yeah, as I said, if folks have any questions, then let me know and I can get those sorted for you as well. Just pop some post-its under there. When can indexers take that over and token API? Take what over exactly? Run them. Can you elaborate, please? Make money. I may be missing the thread there.
Yeah. So like those services are being run. When can we expect those to go on the decentralized network so indexers can do those
Oh,
things?
got it. You mean in the context of like hypergraph?
Yeah, Hypergraph and Token API and these new services being announced, like I
Got
guess
it.
the migration plans, timing, stuff like that. So indexers know what to expect, how to run
Yeah.
them, basically when. Again.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. When? uh, okay. That's great. Yeah, I'm inviting Yaniv, who has quite a broad perspective on a lot of things that are happening in the graph. So I'm sure he can answer that not only for hypergraph, but also for uh, you know other aspects as well, like token API. Yeah, that's a great question. I've just added that in there. Here's a better question: how do you turn a streaming service that goes from provider straight to consumer? One-to-one to be decentralized? And that applies to everything you're asking. Yeah. Okay, that's a good question. That's a really good question. Yeah, it's like an extension of the question that uh, that Vince has asked as well. So yeah, like what's the plan there specifically for the things that we're offering? Yeah, that makes sense. I'm happy to forward that on as a question. Um, Let's see, is there anything else in the chat that I've missed so far? I know there was conversation in relation to Payne's question, so I want to see like what is related to that and what's related to the questions here. Any Postgres questions people have as well? Just want to make sure that they're being responded to. So if anyone has anything there, please do let me know. I'd love to know. Because yeah, I can get that forwarded on to the folks and answered as well. See, Mickey's typing. I think Hal has some DB questions last week. Oh yes, okay, cool. Let's see. Did we capture that in the any other sessions on Postgres? Create, yes. So I did forward that on. If this was, if the question was about how to create indexes, I did forward that on to the Postgres folks, and they said they'd be happy to look into that. So yeah, that's good. Please do let me know if that's the questions that that was it. Okay, fantastic. Yeah, yeah. I forwarded that on to the folks, and they're gonna make sure to address that in the coming AMAs. Anything else? Is there anything else that Hal had there in relation to Postgres, just to make sure that we're capturing everything? Or is that it? Let me know. Let's see how it's typing. Perhaps there's some more questions coming, which is great. Yeah, the more questions we can get, the better. So folks, feel free to type away. I see people typing now, which is great. Awesome. Thanks, Mickey, for being here. Appreciate it. Alrighty, you see Vince and Hal are typing. Okay, any safe way to extract unused subgraphs from Postgres, especially huge grafting subgraphs like Uniswap and PancakeSwap? I tested Postgres dump, dropped the grafting subgraph, PG restore, and then sync the top subgraph, it works but feels off. Simulating subgraph corruption. I don't want to resync everything again. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's great. That's really good. That's really helpful. So I'm just going to paste that in, and then just mention that's from Hal from Pinax. I'm going to make sure that these events cool. I'd like to see composable, already well-built subgraphs that are easily utilized through UX for people to use, similar to Dune. There is work to be done with our DBs, but majority of any DB issue the majority of any DB issue is a crappy query. Yeah, that's a good point. Is this this is just a general comment, right, Vince? Like, would you like me to forward this on or
Yeah, just I guess or pass it along because in having something like composable subgraphs that are easily utilized, kind of like Dune has, it also enables the community to have some type of community in building subgraphs and stuff like that, where things can be shared and manipulated and played with. So I think it lends to a lot of, push towards forward development because people can quickly iterate on things, and my hope would be to see a lot less Uniswap clones and people using similar things. But I don't know, in basically trying to get away from having 3,000 Uniswap clones where we're indexing the same data 100 times, albeit from one line, would be awesome, and I think it would also engage the community a little more.
Yeah.
And it would
Yeah.
solve the problem of, terribly written queries, instead of chasing down subgraphs and saying, hey guys, here's a better way to do this. But have more a templated, composable type thing that people can base things off of.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah, lots to be done in that aspect to improve there for sure. Okay, I will note that down. I guess this is just like a general kind of thought. I mean, trying to think where to note that down, like where does it make sense? I'll just put it in my notes and have a think later on that. Okay. I believe 𝗨𝘀𝗀𝗃 has a strategy involving dropping indexes for these subgraphs, saving a ton of space. In response to how, okay, yeah, I literally just used the script yesterday, needs updating to graph. Okay. 𝗨𝗂𝗃, yes. 𝗨𝗂𝗃 is always in the chat in the agenda, sorry, as always. But what I'll do is I'll paste it here so you have access there. Yeah, the window is now open, so feel free to grab the 𝗨𝗃 there. It won't be open for too long, so just make sure you grab the 𝗨𝗃, and if you have any challenges, do let me know. Okay, so final call then for questions in relation to Postgres or Hypergraph, which will be sessions that we'll be running pretty soon. Folks, feel free to ask away. If not, then yeah, I will take these questions here, forward them on to the relevant parties, and make sure these sessions get onto the calendar and delivered pretty shortly. So yeah, any questions? So okay, chat's empty. Cool. Well, I will make sure to get these posted. And I want to take this opportunity to say thank you to each and every one of you for joining for today's Index Office Hours session. We will be back again, same time next week, for another edition. I will once Dan sent me the video, I'll circulate it so folks can have a look, and we can get the show on the road. Cool. Thanks everyone, and have a wonderful rest of your week. Take care.